So hello everyone, Chad Gon here, once again with Pastiche of Skin and Flyer Go, and we're here to talk about all the new information that just came out with the recent Sega headline. Everybody doing good
Yes.
today?
I'm doing fantastic, and I'm excited. I'm excited.
I'm feeling good.
That's my class. That's what I play. I play Bouncer in Classic, and I wanted it back. I needed my Bouncer back, and I need my lock on zippy kicks and all the things I can do with it. But I'm just I'm looking forward to seeing Bouncer come back on the 13th. But I'm not fully sold on what they've shown of the gameplay yet, which is concerning.
Like a twal almost.
Yeah, well, definitely the Soaring Blades looks a bit more Atwally. But the Jet Boots, because Jet Boots in Classic, Jet Boots were perfect. So plenty of people argue that point, but Jet Boots were perfect. They didn't make any changes, they didn't get any debuffs, they didn't get any rebuffs, they didn't get any enhancements. They just stayed as they were for a vast majority of the time. And now because we have all the extra mobility options in NGS, it feels like the reason why you like Jet Boots to kind of get in quick and get in close and be one of the first people kicking things in the face is kind of negated. So now it seems a little bit more static, and I don't know. It's something that actually is upsetting me about looking at the footage that they've shown of it. For all the moves, it all seems to be standing still and casting with your feet in a lot of cases.
A lot more stationary.
Yeah.
I think we'll have to
Anybody
see
else?
how it works when it actually comes out, but that would be really weird for them to take the most mobile weapon and turn it into a stationary bike.
Yeah, that would be weird.
But it feels like the with Bouncer specifically, just almost like they're taking the casting side of that more. So like so you can cast elementals to actually get more damage. It's like yes, but the whole point of that was just to do that and then not worry about it and not decast yourself by dropping skills or whatever. You just get your elemental damage and then carry that on into your melee. It feels like this is actually just now melee casting, like long range melee that you're essentially throwing it out from your feet with the energy blades and stuff, which almost was like, I think there was 3 weapons in Classic for Bouncer Jet Boots that actually had the projected blades from the end of your feet. I don't remember there being more than that. If anybody can remembers better than me.
I didn't play a lot of Jet Boots Bouncer, so
Well, let me be the man to teach you. There was 3 weapons. There was, as far as I can remember, I'm sure somebody can correct me on this, but I think there was 3 weapons or 3 weapon types that actually had a additional skill, like the one that actually added on, that whenever you kicked, it actually threw out a distance blade. So whenever you were like approaching as Bouncer, if you weren't doing your full zip kick right up to the person's face, you could at least attack from mid, which was like almost TMG range, to actually like attack with a couple of blades on the way and doing elemental damage with the kicks. And then close the last bit of distance with your last zip kick and actually start kicking the crap out of things as you wanted to do. The fact that all of the skills, whenever I was looking at them, seemed to actually have a projection from them for a distance on Bouncer from the footage that we saw, that I'm worried that they're going to go and turn what was my personally favorite mobile, close range, kicky, dodgy moves into stand back and kick some blades at these guys. And I'm not a fan of that, just from what I can see, but I'm hopeful. I think it's going to be a matter of actually like game feel whenever we actually get hands on with them, and I just want to know how that actually integrates with the movement, because as it is now, I still feel like TMGs are the most mobile thing in the goddamn game, and that probably shouldn't be the case.
The thing for me on that is Bouncer was definitely one of the, before Scion classes, of course, it was one of the more mobile, flashier looking classes we had. That's what got me excited for Bouncer when that first came out. But now, every class in NGS is kind of like that. Everything's sort of flashy and all over the place, and it kind of, looking at everything else, it makes it look like Bouncer is just almost more garden variety at this point when you compare it now. Because
I think from the videos we've seen so far, I think the kicks are now just harder, mainly.
could be.
That'll be because it could be heavier hitting, and if you maintain that speed, the actual kick speed, while also still having the heavy hits, that's getting into Knuckles territory for me, and I'm actually kind of a little bit happy about that. Throw out as many punches as you can and hit hard, and I'm like, okay, I'll stand still for that. I'll stand still for that. If I don't have the duck and weave, even better.
So, let's talk Battle Dia. new dungeon-looking things that they've added. With
Which color are we going with first?
well, in general,
I can taste the flavors.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you prefer your Battle Dia in lemon or grape?
I'm grape all the way. Grape all the way.
Yeah.
But
But even before
was
that, what do you think of how you actually unlock them in the first place? Getting drops from enemies and then finding specific portals to open them.
I'm curious about the spawns of the portals. Like, if are they going to spawn in the same way that we actually are? Well, we worried about whenever Gigantics were the fun thing to do, literally waiting for one of them to spawn, or are they going to be consistently always there? And are they going to move around the map? It's like the Narva question. It's like, are we going to be standing there waiting for one to pop up and then it appears over half the map of the area, and you're like, fuck's you have to make your quick travel across it before somebody else comes into your room as a group of 5 and takes it.
I sincerely hope they wouldn't do that. They should know by now. We don't like content being locked behind random chance. So
Yeah.
I mean, the game is free to play and built around random chance for everything else, but
I don't
One
mind
thing I'm
being based on
hoping-
RNG. Don't lock my
Yeah,
raids behind it.
Yeah, one thing I'm hoping for is that they don't that they have limits on how many triggers you can maybe have, so that people don't like farm them for the next year, and then just have them in the inventory for like, or in the storage for like forever.
because I'm thinking about it the same way we have for the rest assign and for the what's the other one? The rest assign's the heal sign. What's the one for
The
Resi?
rest sign.
Yeah,
Fine. Do you know we actually have like stacks of 10 and 5 for that? I imagine it actually being like, maybe they'll do similar, like just go like, you can have up to 10 of these, which means 2 of those runs back to back. But if you have a group of 5 people who have all farmed, that's 50. You're like, what? I can't do math. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You have a large enough group of with you that you can just keep on doing runs, and that'll actually almost feel like the back whenever we were doing the trigger keys for events. Like literally, just somebody would go like, "I got 15 of these guys, right? I got this one."
yeah.
or capsules back for whenever we're doing Advanced Quest.
Yep.
Who's got the caps? Literally just walking
Same thing.
around the city. Just who's got the caps? Who's got the caps?
Well,
And then you
let's
have
hit the
people with
triggers.
like 4K capsules.
Yep. Yeah, I think I still have plenty of those sitting in my classic inventory that'll never get used.
I know. It's like literally just every once in a while go and find something and go like, all right, what difficulty do you want? Oh, we're going to max.
I doubt they'll put an actual limit on the number you can carry, though, simply because they already said you can sell them on the market.
Oh.
So I have a feeling that what's going to happen is that people are going to farm, like when we have new classes come out, people are going to farm yellow, like bonus keys.
Mhm.
Which, it's great that they gave us one like that, by the way, having a bonus key like thing in Genesis. But Yellow Battle Dia will make that easier, and then when all your classes are capped, sell all the things for what'll probably be 1,000 Meseta, because that's what everything costs.
Yeah, but I'm curious actually, like getting the caps and running the time inside the dungeon. Do we get what kind of drops? Because we're getting Meseta and EXP inside yellow, because I think that's the way it's kind of working. But drops wise, is it only crafting components for augments that we're getting from that, or is that because we get the other ones from the purple for the gigas? But I'm trying to remember what did they say anything about the drops that we're getting from yellow?
Yellow's getting silver and gold prim swords, and supposedly someone saw a thing about gold armor dropping, which would actually be really nice
Mm-hmm.
to be able to level up. Armor is way more overpaid to upgrade than the weapons are, so a gold style thing for armor too would make it so much easier. That would actually make it worth farming.
There could even be new exchanges
That's what I was going to say.
for gold armor.
Exchanges, gold armor exchanges specifically for armor-based augment components.
That's true.
Maybe.
That does bring up a good point. I don't know if a lot of people notice this. The item exchange, dude. You can trade gold swords in for things like augment boosts.
Yep.
Now having a reliable way to farm those out of yellow battle dia, that's actually, I didn't think about that, but that's really nice.
It is. It's
yeah. I never had
It's
like 12 of those gold swords on hand.
yeah, and there is a limit in the exchange shop for those. So selling your spares on the marketplace for other people to hit their cap on the item exchange shop is good news, because they'll actually probably keep the value up of them, because they'll not be based on the value of the gold armor, they'll be based on the value of like what the fuck can you get from the exchange guy.
Yeah.
I see, said the blind man.
And the purple, I don't know how much I'm going to do that just because of what it's a boss rush against
Gigas.
Gigantic. And I saw
Giga
Gigantic
farming
in there, and I thought that's cool. I haven't seen that yet. And then I think about it and go,
oh no,
you don't do Gigantics much. You telling me I'm going to fight like 5 of these back to back? I'm not doing that for long.
but if you get a good group though, if you can get a good group in there and get a good full group for actually giga farming, that could be actual good crack. Because that's actually, there's a risk reward kind of thing going on with that. Essentially going like, do you try and push to get as many as possible, or just like, or do you get a horrible grind where you end up fighting the same ones over and over again that you just did not want to see, like boujin after boujin after boujin? Yeah, I'll quit. But if I actually get a couple of ones where it's actually get a little bit more variety in there, yeah, stick around for longer.
How about that mining rig?
No.
Yeah.
Just no. No. It's going to say, I'm out of here.
I still haven't gotten into S-rank combat yet.
But here's the thing, right? To have anything past the 7th wave, the 7+ waves, is assuming that you're actually, like, if you're sitting on 3 full ones at 6, and it asks you, do you want to continue on? Okay. So when do we lose our S rank if we say yes to that and continue on doing more waves?
I'm wondering how many waves they even have.
Because they said 7+. It actually is like it says there's more waves than 7. I'm like, okay. Do we decide this before we start, or do we decide this midway through? And if not everybody agrees, do we end up with a party of 3 people by the time we're finished?
The thing that could be fun if it was actually endless. And at some point the waves would just be unbeatable.
Yeah.
Right?
But how do you lose a reward for that? Do you actually like essentially go like you're doing endless now for the purpose of doing endless because endless is actually fun for people to do because they like it? But there's a point where you're doing endless and you're like, this is just for glory, not even for glory. It's just for my knowledge that I'm doing well on this, rather than actually, well, here's some shit you got for doing it. So what's the incentive for randos to do it in any way, shape, or form in that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Because my first thought was that, I mean, there's got to be a lot of good XP in that. I usually get a good chunk of it when I run it already. But it's like,
A lot of enemies.
if you're at the point where you're trying to run beyond 6 waves, you're probably level 20 already anyways, and not worried about that. And the only real gear that I can see dropping out of that would make it worth the chase is more Evil Coat stuff at the moment, unless they give us more. But
Well, higher drop chances for those new colors, maybe. That would be interesting.
yeah, I can see that. Weapon recolors being easier to get from higher levels would get me to go that far a couple of times until I've got red soaring blades, and then I'm done. But well, I can see. I'm not sure if I should say it because people already think Sega caters to them a little bit, but I can see it being cool for streamers and people watching you go like, "Hey, watch Gemma Taters hit round 20 with 3 people," and like I don't see normal players going that far unless there's a title to chase eventually.
And that's what it will be, a title chase eventually, but for now I think you're actually kind of you're actually pretty right with that. It being one of those things that people can do and create their own challenges in doing it because it actually is designed endless. There's no cutoff point where you're actually being irrationally continued on. You're just doing it because you can. And if you have an audience with you and you have a dedicated audience that a large streamer would actually have, then that's a way. That's essentially what a lot of people were doing with endless and challenge runs anyway, were they not, before NGS was out? That was better. You're come and join me. Come and watch me fight. Come and watch me fight depth 150.
Yeah. The other one I was thinking of, what was it? They did do one thing I saw. They didn't really draw attention to it, but I noticed because it always was something they would do. If you look at the total health bar there, did anyone else notice they segmented it and they show you what rank you're at?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw.
Oh, that is so nice.
But it's also helpful because now you know that. I mean, the main problem is that people don't use the heals.
Yeah.
And you don't use heals when you don't need them, but you use them if possible at the end, shortly before it's over.
just to boost it back over a line if you're even close to one.
Yeah.
But the only problem I have with that is the rage players that will stop playing and start shouting at people if they start seeing it getting close to that line. That's the thing I'm worried about, because there's people who go like, "Oh, we're not going to get it S now anyway, so I'm just going to stop trying."
Yeah,
You
I've
think?
seen that too. I had one.
There's people who
opening
quit
round go
as
bad
soon as they
and
see someone go
everybody
down, and that's game over. The whole session's killed at that point. Like the rage quitters and the rage players, that's the one I'm worried about. If they give a visual line for them to start acting up, that's the one I'm worried about. It's an amazing idea and fantastic. I love it, but I'm worried about the players.
Yeah, a Halloween event, specifically the 4-star elemental weapons. I didn't even see that they were 4-star. I didn't look that hard at that. I just knew we were going to get flame weapons specifically.
Actually, there was a little mistake in the global video. I think in the Japanese video they showed as 4-star, and in the global video it was still 3-star because it wasn't updated or whatever.
And they actually, because they mentioned it in the global video in the translation, but they didn't actually show it on screen. So if you were talking over the top of it or sitting watching with people, then you mightn't have noticed. But they did say 4-star, and I was looking at it going like, wait, what?
Okay.
But yeah, it's 4-star.
All right, well that's cool, and they look cool too.
Yeah. Flamin'.
But will they?
I need my Flamin' workers.
Will they become part of the new meta? Honestly, I don't think so.
Maybe
Okay, they're
for the
cool.
duration of the event, but after the event, probably not anymore.
It's just because I'm curious to know if they are doing the bouncer, because with the Halloween event coming on, if they have the bouncer weapons in that. But I can't remember. Did they have the Braver weapon just as Braver came out during the last event? And I think it was what was the seasonal event that was whenever it came out?
The fall one, they did have them. They didn't have them for the 9th anniversary one.
Right, and they didn't. Well, Braver was out at that point, wasn't it?
For the fall one, yes, it came out
Yeah.
right before that event. They had a katana.
Alright, so that's what I'm curious about. So essentially, if they do have them as 4 stars for the bouncers, which they're soaring blades and jet boots, they'll actually be one of the best in class and easiest got for a brand new class at launch, essentially, because it'll be that close in. So for those, so I think it's going to be very specific. I was thinking about that just because it's a 4-star. It's a lot easier to get your hands on, and you get enough of them that you can actually just dump them into each other for like leveling them up as well. Plus, you'll have the event where you can just buy them from the store too, so you can just walk in and go, I'll have one of those.
Well, Bouncer comes out 2 weeks before the event starts, and I'm sure by then most people will have them geared up and leveled. But the other thing I think of is, in all the events we've had, like, I mean, I spent more time on Global than I did JP, so maybe JP did one beforehand. But I can't recall a single event where the seasonal items you could get out of it were ever better than what you already had. They were cool, sometimes they'd have cool looks and could be turned into camos and stuff, but I don't remember... Like, especially during the winter event, I remember some really cool stuff you could get out of that, and I remember none of that being close to what I had already.
The only one that was good I can remember from Global was the Turkey event, Thanksgiving Day, because the side effect on the weapon, the actual like added effect whenever it was up with like 20 or 30, was actually, what was it? What was it on the actual Turkey weapons? God, I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head, but I remember it being super good at the time.
All I remember is the turkey leg camo.
The turkey leg camo. But it wasn't a turkey. It wasn't. They weren't turkey themed weapons, but it was the ones that came out during that same event that came from the turkey drops. But they were really, really good. 13 stars, I think, at the time. But like, it's very rare for that to happen. I think that only happened because of the way Global's time scale was. Just like, we have to squeeze all this in.
Yep.
So they actually had the turkey event before the stuff that was relevant to the turkey event would have actually been relevant. So it was actually like a jump up just for that one time, and they stayed good until we got towards the 15 stars and palace weapons and stuff like that. They stayed viable.
Yeah. Even if they do end up being better than some of the stuff we have now, I have a feeling it'll only be temporary. Because I'm sure it goes without saying that when the new region comes out, we'll get at least 5-star weapons, and then all this 4-star stuff will just be pulled. So even if it's only going to be like a month, maybe 2, that we'd still be using them.
But remember to jump into that gold rush and sell them on the market as soon as possible.
Yep. Alright, will fix-it transfers have an effect on the meta? So I thought
market
I thought
meta.
It was cool that they were going to give us this option. I feel like they should have allowed us to transfer regular augments like we had in the other. Because building up new weapons for a new class every time is a little annoying when I had a good setup for one. But also, I'm thinking the Fixa one specifically, I'm really not sure there's a point. Because as it stands,
There is actually. There's actually a valid point. I think they mentioned this in the live stream because players were hesitant to grind out their weapons before they don't have like a Fixer 5, and like it seems like a waste to players to even attempt to grind out Fixer 4, because at any point they could drop the Fixer 5 and then spend the same money again for this, as well as farming capsules again and everything. So being aware that you can later add Fixer helps a lot of players.
I would completely agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. I have actively left weapons as they were because of that same issue, because I have had the most garbage Fixa 5 drops rate. I get nothing. I get nothing in anything that I want, and anything I do get is actually going straight in the marketplace because it's not something I'm going to use. But the actual, like, the ability to switch those Fixa 5s across, like, it feels like it's 7 slotting. You know, like way you used to 5 slot, 6 slot, and then you would only 7 or 8 slot the one that you're planning to keep. Like, that's what it is. That's what Fixa is. If Fixa is 7 and 8 slot, that's what it feels like. It's actually like there's a point where you like the risk, reward, and value of it is stopped, and you're like, I felt like I was stopping on a lot of weapons without going that extra little mile because I wasn't going to care about it. Now that I actually can do the Fixa transfers, I'll have a really good melee set, have a really good tech set, and I'll have a good melee tech set because I'm going to be bouncing, but or a range set. I'll have one of those, and then I'll go like, right, that is coming off of that and onto this whenever I get the opportunity to. And it feels like you almost have like a lineage of weapons if you actually are moving on from them one after another. I'm just curious by having the transfers in, do they continue on the Fixa thing up to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 new different fixes? Because once you have that out of one of the transferable things, where do they expand that umbrella of things that you can get as a Fixa?
I think it will be different. I think they will most likely add different Fixer, but still keep the cap at 5.
My thought process goes to the same way you used to get rare drop rate and it was the undiscovered ones, like a higher amount of undiscovered weapons that you had to actually scan. But like that'll be the next fixes they'll add. They'll actually like an EXP gain one, a rare drop rate gain one, and those will be the big market fixes that people will want.
Weapon ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We don't have one of those.
Nope. How do I? We haven't answered the question. We haven't answered the question though. Like, do we think the Fixa transfers will affect the meta of weapons and what people's loadouts will be? Is it that big of a difference and that big of a deal now that we can transfer fixes?
I think some people will make it out to be, but honestly, I haven't used a weapon with a Fixa yet, and as far as I know, it doesn't even change your battle power whether you have a Fixa or not. I know that's an arbitrary number outside of meeting urgent quest requirements, but like, could it really make that big a difference? Like, could you see people getting kicked out of Battle Dia because they don't have a level 5 Fixa on their weapon, you know?
I don't think so.
That big a deal.
I think it's actually going to be a nice want, but not a nice need. That's what it's going to be.
Something the min-maxers will chase, and everyone else will be like,
It's a nice to have, but it's not necessary.
Let's go with mag form changes coming back. Yay!
Finally!
I can have my Sonic the Hedgehog mag going around, and then put on my Tails and my Sonic shoes and my Rappy suit, and all will be. See someone take that.
You can feel like you gotta go fast as much as you like, but I'm sorry, but Miku is coming with me back to NGS. Miku lives on. Miku is with me.
That'll be nice.
Yeah, it literally the passes that we had from Classic, I actively didn't. Once I got my Hatsune Miku one from whenever the campaign was on, I never changed mine again. I just kept it as is. Some of my alts had different ones, but I've kept all of the passes, all of the mag change passes in storage for this day. For literally this day. Like I'm gonna go into the old PSO2 store and just sell all of them and just see what happens. Because like if that's going to come in and people want it for cosmetics, that's fantastic. But I'll have one for myself of everything, and every other one is going into. I'm going to flood the marketplace to reduce the price of them as much as humanly possible.
How
just
disappointed would you be?
out of original PSO2 spite.
How disappointed would you be if it comes out and in NGS it turns out you can change your mag's appearance for free anytime from the ones you have unlocked, and just make those passes utterly useless?
No, I don't mean the passes. I mean the actual unlocks. The actual.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
The
Yes.
evolution devices.
The evolution devices, sorry.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. That's a smart move. I'm like, saving all the mag change passes, you can just swap them. Like, what if you could just do that? Wouldn't that? Yeah, I've got a few. I got a lot of the mission pass ones. I know. I definitely got the Sonic one. Like, I actually played that scratch until I got it because it was like the only time I ever. I got it after like 2 pulls though. I was extremely lucky, but it was the only time I ever was like, I have to buy an AC scratch. I need that Sonic one. And then I've got like all the console ones they did, and the dragon one, the little crystal dragon. But yeah, I'm glad to see that coming back. I honestly only recently turned my mag back on because it's like. It's just in the way most of the time you don't see people running around. Half the time I forget that we have them. And I'm like,
Because they don't do anything other than scan, yeah.
Yeah, well now that there's a function for them, I want to see them take it a step further. And I know they won't do this because it might be expensive. I want to see voice-acted mags. Like, imagine you put on, like, the Sonic one, and you hear, like, his actual voice actor be like, "Tower nearby," or something like that. Like, it's a little AI.
And for NGS mags, for anything like ongoing, like new ones they do from this point onwards, with the mag being there, I'd be very happy about that. Especially with paired with some of the things they're chatting about, how they're expanding the mag's radar functions. That'd be awesome, because then it literally tells you something that's relevant that you're searching for. Like, Tri-Tit nearby. You know, like,
exactly.
You know, like that kind of thing. That'd be
That
cool.
would actually be funny, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the battle pass coming back, or the mission pass, or whatever they want to call this one that we all grind for
Battle
Fear of
Bus.
FOMO. It's
Yeah.
it's nice to see it
So,
come
like,
back, and it looks largely unchanged.
It looks very, very similar to the previous one. The question is, like, we were chatting about this a little bit before we started. Did all of us finish all of the battle passes?
I did.
Yes. I
Yep.
did.
There's a very valid reason they're bringing it back. Because a lot of people did. And that is a guaranteed amount of hour grind just to get them through. Now, obviously, some of us just went and just star-gemmed it to actually get their way through some of them.
Did like the
But-
last 3 of them. That's how I did it. Ooh, new pass.
Yeah, I can understand.
800
Yeah,
stars
no.
later. Now what am I doing?
I'll get 400 of those back. That'll be fine. It only cost me 400 all in total.
Yeah.
But the actual time involved in those mission passes, especially for the free-to-play players, is going to actually be like, that's going to get their user hours back up again. It's a very good thing business-wise for Sega to actually have definitely back it again. It's something that actually gives people shit to do. There's goals and our targets that you're aiming for whenever you're doing it. There's all positives to it. Most predominantly is the 3-day shop passes.
Yes,
The return of the 3-day shop pass.
That is so great. Now they need to make those sellable. I know
If they
won't,
do?
but I'm thinking I always have premium on. I don't need those 3-day shop passes. Let me. The irony of selling 3-day shop passes on the shop.
I was going to say, what?
Hey,
Think of anything?
if you can sell literal subscription time in World of Warcraft on the auction house, let me sell 3-day shop passes.
We sell 3-day shop passes on the player shop, yeah. But that's what I mean, like, essentially, because they're on the free tier of it, if anybody got a 3-day shop pass and wanted more, they can buy them from the in-game store, and that's probably fine. Now, the side effect of that is that they're using the same 3-day shop passes as we had back in Classic, and a lot of us that fun scratched probably never have to worry about ever going near the shop to buy any of those, because I can guarantee you there is no way I'm going to get rid of all the ones that I have.
No.
It's like, even if they were selling, they would have to sell for 1,000 each, and it would actually be dirt cheap, and then that would completely negate the entire purpose of the shop passes being in the battle pass, because of how many are just sitting there not being used on the marketplace still. But yeah, it's beautiful to see. The one thing I'm actually, because the battle passes and mission passes are a really guaranteed way to get some good fashion items as well, because we're now at the point where NGS fashion items, I'm not as interested in dropping cash into AC Scratch for fashion anymore.
No,
But-
it doesn't seem as necessary.
Yeah, but you could bring me back to it by having some pretty badass costumes inside the mission pass.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that could actually reignite my enjoyment of the fashion part of Fashion Star Online. Yeah, like I mean, since where are we going into the operational section, the new section to the headline show
Yeah,
itself?
why not?
Because that was something that they brought up. It was the fact that the people who were actually all the people who were actually having issues with symbol arts and the crap that was being shown in those in public areas, and the bot accounts doing the red boxing and the general seller, the real money sellers showing up in the city. I have not been playing as much, completely admittedly, because I have not wanted to be there for the time now up until Bouncer coming out. But whenever I have been there, there's not been a lot of them about. Is that just because of population going down, or have they honestly like nipped that in the bud? And could we have nice things again if they have stayed away?
They made a change to the TOS where you're not allowed to have multiple accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes less effort now to be able to just catch them in the act.
Like essentially, same IP address, to 3 accounts running at the same time. You go like, there's either a very large family in that house, or you're botting.
Yep.
What else did they cover in the operations other than the banning of people? And because there was a lot more transparency in the actual operations section. That was just really important to hear from Sega, because I think I was sick of just not hearing anything that was cleared. And then whenever they were doing the operation thing, they just seemed to actually like it felt like a pressure release in a lot of ways. Just going like, oh, just tell us more. Just keep talking. Just tell us what the developers are thinking. I just want to know.
The big one they mentioned, and I don't usually talk about this part because you hear it enough all over the internet, the complaints. They covered the lack of content in the game and how long it takes for them to do releases. And basically we're like, yeah, we realize this is a big issue. We're working, I guess, but the big thing they discussed was that after the December update with the new region, going forward, they're going to try to do something to make more stuff available more often. They reiterated that they want to do major expansions every 6 months. Fine. I mean, most games only get stuff like that, every years or so.
Yeah. But adding a region to a region kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, but, add more to do in the middle. Like, they did a good example of this earlier on, the side story they did with Aina and making the memorial.
It was so short, though.
It was short, but it was something. I mean, giving us something to do at least it was something different for that week. Give us every 2 or 3 weeks, give us a little side story like that. It doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to move the main narrative.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have gone without that altogether and it wouldn't have made a difference, but it's just nice to see her fleshed out a little more. I'd like to see one with Manon. Maybe we have one with can't even remember his name. I just keep calling him Discount Luther.
Oh, yeah, Discount Luther, the head of the Arcs, Discount Luther.
Yeah,
that's his name, Discount Luther.
Yeah.
But I would each of the operators. Whenever we first were introduced to the operators, they kind of had us run and do a bunch of missions for each one of them, and they tend to actually be like almost the outside perspective in now, because they're the lead characters of the comic as well. The navigators. So literally just let us hang out with one of them for an episode. Just say like they don't have to do anything other than like have us. They call us to the meeting room, have us go to the meeting room, talk to them for a wee second, and then go and do something for them, and come back and give us a little sideline at the bit afterwards that almost could possibly be part of the comic as well. They essentially like literally us walking away is the first panel where they just turn to the other ones and go like, "See what he just did?"
Yeah.
Or what they just did. Like, and that'll be a fun flavor that also then kind of like carries on outside of the gameplay that we're doing. It doesn't have to directly affect the main plot. It can be side stories.
Yeah, I think I want personally one thing. The base PSO2 game had all these characters in the lobby, and everybody knew their names because they were somehow involved in some cutscenes or had maybe some backstory or so. And look at the NGS characters; barely anyone remembers even their names. Yeah. Other than they are walking in the city, they have a name, but you don't know anything about them. Just give them like side stories or so that we actually get to know these characters.
The new region.
Yeah, Molotube, you mean?
Yeah, it looks like it's a obligatory desert region number whatever this is now. The Retem region. So what did you guys think of everything we saw in there? Like, we
Two
got a
words.
town. Yeah.
2 words. Camels and pyramids.
Rebels, yeah. I'm actually really excited to see that pyramid cocoon. I hope, or probably counts as a tower. I hope it's not just like, hey, we did a really unique design with what is otherwise a run-of-the-mill tower. I mean, on one hand, it'd be okay because it's just something new to do, but it's also like that screams raid to me, and
Yes.
I want it to be that.
Hopefully it will be
It's-
an urgent. I want it to be an urgent quest in a cocoon with like 8 or maybe even more people. That would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that. That would be cool to do.
A little thing in my heart makes me want it to be kind of like the Crystal Towers from Final Fantasy XIV, the Rings of Bahamut, whatever that was. You know, like the ones that's like where they get the pyramid. You start at the biggest and bottomest floor and work your way to the tippy top, kind of thing. And I'm like, that would be tasty. But like, it's something that you actually come back and do again at a higher difficulty, but maybe shorter. But then again, and it's like you know, kind of like. It inversely designs so that there's more enemies at the bottom floors, but there's actually lesser enemies, but much more powerful enemies at the top, kind of thing. A Tower of Death, you know.
You can see that, or it could even be a really cool solo challenge thing. Another thing that came to mind was some of the Zelda games have something called the Tower of Ordeals. It's like 50 combat encounters. You know, imagine a solo player going into that and having to go up. I could see that. There was one thing that caught my eye, and I'm not sure if maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me because I haven't seen another one floating around. That black tower looking thing that we have above Central City. You can see one in the Retem region in certain scenes. It looks like it's in the background when they're introducing like the dolls and stuff, but there's another one there. And I don't know if that's a new one or if that's the same one just
moves.
floating around. But I'm very curious as what that is, and if there's multiple, like, why is that not getting more attention? Well, I mean, I know we haven't had enough story to really touch on anything outside of Hello World, but I've got this gut feeling that that's going to be used for something at some point. Like it's going to be
For sure.
For sure, it's definitely going to be because that feels like that's the castle in the sky where whatever the fuck is dealing with it, where all the dolls are coming from anyway. But I like the concept that if we do get a new region, that it drifts from one region to the next over time, and then just kind of drifts back. And that's actually like one of the things we're going like, wait, hang on. Things are happening worse, or things are getting more interesting whenever that is overhead, or whenever that's in different places. Just the concept of that actually being a moving object. Like a chess piece around the board, which just sets a tone for like later on down the line. It's like, all right, we're just following that thing in the sky, no matter where it goes for the next 5 days in Alpha, just because they're like, and eventually, you know, like there's locations that we've had that have actually been like the highest level things, you know, like up at Alpha Lake, and like where it's like there's got to be something in there for the purposes of actually having these towers in the sky that they're going to be related to that. So maybe we'll have a Alpha Lake area in the new region, where it's actually like this is unnaturally high enemies, and also the region has actually got nothing else in it really for that purpose. That's why I think that actually like that'll almost relate to those towers will relate to those specific areas, and we'll eventually see whenever they give us a little bit more information what that is. But I think that's maybe like you know like down another year of the game, something like that. You know.
I'm actually surprised that they didn't even talk about this yet in the story. Like this is a big thing. They're floating in the sky, and every player can see it. So NPCs, what is this? Explain to me.
No knowledge at all.
Is this normal?
I keep on saying that we're Meteor and we drop from the sky and we're interesting. There's a thing that will not drop from the sky and will stay up there the entire time. Why is it there?
Yeah, why?
The actual region itself as a whole, I did catch the big arena theater area, like the what do you call it? It's Coliseum essentially looking area that actually is like looks like a big soundstage. I'm going like yes. Why did you build a soundstage and a dancing stage in the middle of the city and then do nothing with it, and now build another region with almost an exactly similar thing but bigger without putting something in it? So I'm waiting to see that if we do get around to that region coming out, that area being used, that we might start seeing our stage being used in Central City as well, almost like as a rebroadcast area. I don't know, just like something in my head. I wouldn't mind seeing music come back. Rare Drop.
Yep.
Past performances of Meteor and Long Dead, you know, like if we end up getting bring back the main character or the singing characters from PSO2 Classic, whatever they want to do with it. I'm interested in this because I always enjoyed the concerts. They weren't a major thing, but getting a buff and enjoying a 3-minute performance was always fun.
Yeah. And the thing that made me sort of wait to give judgment on the new town looking area is that we haven't seen any of the NPCs there yet.
Did you notice that they
translate the stone?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember what it was. Gemma was talking about it on her stream, that someone had actually taken, because somebody's got like a template that translates all the ARC's language.
The language and that, yeah.
And it's like, it says it's something about like the history of Ritem and something about some generic message about strength and going forward. I'm like, I wonder if it's like we go there and it'll be almost like a martial artist society kind of thing. So maybe it's smaller because they live more minimalist. You know, like they're all fighters and they all use gauntlets or something.
So when Knuckle gets a buff, then
instead of Goroa hanging out there, we've got Jet Li running the place or whatever. You know.
One of the things they did do specifically when I was watching the video was that they avoided showing us like shop areas and NPCs. They like did a lot of rooftop jumping to show you like bigger vistas and stuff. And like partially it's because I'm sure they're not finished. that's the most likely thing. Maybe. But it's actually hopefully not finished as well. At the same time, if they are still working on it, but the fact that we're actually like not getting to see any of those things implies to me that Central City is still the city. This is going to be a walk around region with campsites, the same as we actually have around the outside edges of where we currently have to look around. We're not going to see large groups or civilization, and I've got a feeling that we're going to see the remnants of a civilization rather than actually seeing many people out there at all.
Possible.
That's because I don't think they're actually like it doesn't, because they feel the entire world feels very underpopulated anyway.
Yeah,
this is true.
But I don't think they're actually going to try and repopulate it with a desert. Like, literally, the least populated place you're probably going to have to deal with, and it gives them the best excuse to say, well, they're all dead. They're all gone. Yeah. What I wouldn't mind is, like, a forward operating base, or, like, a space that actually, like, the Central City has actually, like, set themselves up in, so we have a hub to work from in there. Great. But I don't see anything other than people that we already know, or the Central City kind of, like, atmosphere slowly encroaching into that, rather than actually that world having its own society. This is actually what I'm trying to get at. Maybe a history of one, which would be really nice. But I don't think we're actually going to see anybody there, which is a little bit disappointing. But...
Well, I'm not sure. There was something that occurred to me is that as we add more regions, I think it would be a bit frustrating to always log in Central City. So I'm wondering, could we... I thought about it and I'm like, what if... I know they had this whole idea for everything being open world. Well, what if every region was its own instance? Like, we had to go through a loading screen to go into Ritem and something like that. And if they did that, if you were to log out, say in the new region or in the Tundra or whatever,
you respawn in
each one will have its own city kind of deal. When you log back in, would you log in the last region you were in? And if that's the case, then they'd have to justify a population.
That's true.
We'll see.
If they wanted to do that. I've still got it seems like the way they have done Central City and the way they've done, because we do see people out in that world whenever missions happen, where like there's literally somebody who's like, hey, I need a little bit of help, where they're fighting a crag bear and there's actually like 2 people there, and then the moment you finish the mission, they're gone.
Yeah.
I think that's
what usually goes.
Yep.
And that's what I'm thinking. It's actually going to be the same thing in the new areas. Like, there may be people there, but they're going to be people that are traveled out here from Central in the same way. And I'm like, I don't know. As much as like it looked like there was a city, because they actively didn't show us anything. That's the thing I'm mildly concerned about. Is like it's going to be a ruins more than anything else.
I think we've said everything we discussed everything we wanted to discuss on this so far. Any closing thoughts before we wrap this up?
I could go for another hour and a half.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't be too pleased if I showed up that late, but I
know,
agree.
but this is a perfectly valid excuse. Final thoughts wise, bouncer, 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 camels.
Sparks.
I agree with this one. Yeah, looking forward really to the new region and seeing what's coming in the future.
Bouncer, camels, pyramid, black castle.
Exactly.
Yeah, sounds right to me. All right, well, thanks again for coming by to talk about this. I'm sure we'll do this again when the next headline comes out. November 2nd, we have another one coming, so sometime within that week we'll have to get together and do this again.
We'll be able to look back on the stuff that's actually released since then, because we are about to get a nice glut of stuff new, so it's going to be fun.
It'll be nice to talk about how things actually ended up going. So, yeah. If you guys want to check out Pastiche Skin and Flyer Go's channels, I'll have links to their YouTube channels down below, as well as the NGS headline we've been discussing if you haven't yet seen it. So, yeah. Catch y'all later, everybody.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.